So picture this. You've got a sitting US Secretary of State, a president in his second term, and a really controversial movie about UFOs. Now, it sounds like the plot of a political thriller, right? But back in 2025, this very strange mix of things actually happened, and it created a situation that made everyone start asking some pretty serious questions.
And yeah, you heard that right. That was the headline. In March of 2025, the person who's fourth in line to the presidency, America's top diplomat, actually showed up on camera in a documentary that was all about a supposed government cover-up of UFOs.
And really, that's the only question that matters. Why? Why would someone at that level of government get involved in something so far outside the normal job description of diplomacy? To figure that out, we've really got to pull back the curtain on the administration he was a part of.
Okay, so let's start with the film itself. What exactly was this documentary, and who were the people in it that made it such a huge deal?
So the film was called The Age of Disclosure. And look, seeing a former intelligence guy like Luis Elizondo in a film like this, not a huge surprise. But the cast list, wow, it included some serious heavy hitters. You had a sitting US Senator, Kirsten Gillibrand, and, this is the real shocker, the current Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I mean, these aren't just random commentators. These are powerful insiders right at the very heart of the US government. To really get Secretary Rubio's decision, we can't just look at the movie. We have to dive into the unique political world of 2025, specifically the second Trump administration, where, let's just say, power was being gathered up in some very unusual ways. You see, Marco Rubio wasn't just the Secretary of State. By May of 2025, he was also the acting National Security Advisor. He was holding both jobs at the same time, something we hadn't seen since Henry Kissinger. And on top of that, he was temporarily running USAID. This was an absolutely unprecedented amount of foreign policy power for just one person to have. And if you want to understand just how radical the changes were, just look at this number, 17%. Under Rubio's temporary watch, USAID, that's the main agency for American foreign aid, was basically gutted. Only 17% of its programs made it. This wasn't just, a budget trim, it was a complete reversal of American policy that had been in place for decades. And this was all happening under the big banner of an America First foreign policy. The whole point wasn't to just make little changes to the old system. It was to break it. And when your entire game plan is disruption, well, an unconventional move, like your top diplomat showing up in a UFO documentary, suddenly seems a lot more possible, doesn't it? But a Secretary of State doesn't just operate in a vacuum, right? To really get to the why of all this, we have to understand the perspective of the man at the top, President Donald Trump. His mindset is absolutely key to this whole story. In his own words, President Trump always saw himself as a total outsider. He called becoming president surreal, and he always made a point of saying, "I was never a politician." This idea of himself as an outsider crashing a system that was closed off, well, that's fundamental to how he approached pretty much everything. And that outsider status, it had real consequences. He admitted that in his first term, he ended up relying on advisors and cabinet members he didn't really know that well, people who came from the very system he was running against. So you can guess that for a second term, he'd be looking for people who are much more aligned with his own disruptive, non-traditional way of seeing the world. And here it is, this is the direct link. The president himself was personally interested in this stuff. He actually talked about having conversations with top-tier military pilots, perfect specimens, he called them, who told him they were seeing strange things out there, things moving at incredible speeds. So this wasn't just some fringe topic, it had made its way all the way up to his desk, and it clearly got his attention. Okay, so now we have all the main pieces, right? You've got an administration that's all about disruption, a president with this outsider mindset who's personally interested in UAPs, and a very, very powerful Secretary of State. So let's put it all together. And that's really the heart of it. The president's openness to these strange phenomena created a kind of political environment where a top official like Marco Rubio felt, well, not just able, but maybe even encouraged to publicly talk about it. It's like all the normal political guardrails had just come down. And it's important to remember, we're not just talking about little green men here. The official government term is UAP, or Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. That term itself is actually a big deal. It's part of a push to take this whole subject out of the world of sci-fi and into the world of actual data and scientific analysis.
But that brings us right to the central debate. On one side, you have the film, which is claiming that important information is being hidden from the public. And on the other side, you have the classic scientific view, which is summed up perfectly here by Boston University professor and NASA panelist Joshua Semeter. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and so far, that evidence just isn't there.
So, from a scientist's point of view, like Professor Semeter's, it's pretty simple. Stories and pilot testimonies are interesting, sure, but they aren't data. To really be convinced, scientists need hard, verifiable stuff from multiple sensors. They argue that a lot of those famous UAP videos could just be sensor glitches, or maybe optical illusions like parallax, or other weird stuff that's strange, but not necessarily from another world.
So what does this all mean? Why should we care that a Secretary of State appeared in a film like this? Well, it's not really just about UFOs. It's about how information and belief and power all start to mix together at the highest levels of government.
Ultimately, what happened in 2025 just showed how blurry the lines were getting. A topic that used to be saved for late-night radio shows was suddenly a subject of interest for the president, and his chief diplomat was talking about it publicly. It kind of forces you to ask, when we're faced with something truly unknown, what exactly do we expect from our leaders?
And that brings us to the final question, the big one. When powerful political figures start openly talking about things from the fringe, are they really just searching for the truth? Or does it become another tool in a disruptive political playbook, something designed to challenge the norms and appeal to a public that's just tired of the same old official stories? It's definitely something to think about.